We all have bad days, weeks, or even months. An event that other people may not think is stressful could make you, however, feel overwhelmed or even scared. This is why people who are suffering may sometimes only cry out for help when they experience what they believe to be an impossible hurdle. Crying out for help can be shown in different ways. For some, this may be a sudden change in social situations, nervousness, loss of interest in favorite activities, or a change in friendship groups. For others, this can be the change in weight or appearance, excessive eating, or sleeping habits and poor hygiene. According to research, a cry of help can also come from social media. The University of Kingsland states, social media is replacing communication in the real world. It leaves behavioral evidence that we can observe and often helps with expression. It can also show early warning signs of anxiety and depression. Other more extreme cries out for help could be through self-harming or attempting suicide. Although it is normal for people to need and want attention, behavior such as self-harm is a sign something needs to be urgently addressed. So if you are crying out for help, or you know someone who is, make sure you take the problem seriously. Talk about the issue with someone you trust. Remember, if you look for it, help is always at hand.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. And if tonight you're going through serious problems to the point you feel desperate, you're crying right now, you don't know what else to do. At this point, everything you tried failed, trying to find answers, trying to get solutions. How can you change this situation? If this is happening with you, don't go anywhere. Give us the chance to show you how, through the power of faith, things can change. And the best way for me to show you this is with a true story. I want you to see this video where this young lady, Michelle, learned how to use the power of faith to overcome her serious problems. And the same way that it happened with her, it also will happen with you if you decide to give it a try. After watching this video, I want to show you how you can contact Finding Answers and get help today, because today our topic is help at hand.
I grew up with a lot of internal issues because I used to see my dad abusing my mum. It was a very difficult thing for me to see at such a young age. It affected me deeply. I grew up with low self-esteem, and I used to look for ways to fill that void that I had inside of me through being with the wrong kinds of people. I didn't know how to say no. I felt like I didn't know who I was, and I had a lot of anger towards my dad for what he had done. So I refused to see him, I refused to speak to him, and I felt very empty inside. I really searched for ways to try and to fill this emptiness, but nothing worked. I felt unsatisfied. The worst moment was when I almost ended up getting into a situation where I almost lost my virginity, but not because I liked being with the person, but because I didn't know how to say no, because I didn't have any control over myself. I felt like I was just led by people. So when I got into that situation, it really scared me, because I thought, what more can happen if I have no control over myself? I don't know how to say no to people. I was a people pleaser. It was when I decided that I'd had enough, when I got to a point where I'd literally had enough of being the way that I was. I'd had enough of feeling down and empty and sad. I'd had enough of being led by people and not having control over myself. And it was when I developed my faith in God and the steps that I was taught, and I learned to grow, to know myself, to know who I was. It was then that I took those steps to change, and I did an 180-degree turn on like the people who were a bad influence on me. I said no to the way that I was. I determined that I would be a new person, I would be a different person, and I took steps towards that. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it, and I'm really happy with the person that I am today. I'm completely different. That void that I had, it's been filled, and I'm so much more happy. I forgave my dad. We rebuilt our relationship. My family is complete. Even though I came from a broken home, but I don't feel like I came from a broken home. I'm now happily married. I surround myself with people who are like-minded, so I know where I'm going. I'm focused, and I'm happy with life.
So you see, it was in the point that Michelle got fed up at this situation, living with these insecurities, these traumas, that she decided to get help. I told you before the video that if you are also at this point where you are simply fed up of seeing the way things are and being unable to change the situation, no matter how hard you tried, how many times you tried, you can use your faith. You can learn how to use this power, and with that, we can help you. Since the topic tonight is help at hand, why don't I give you right now the phone number that you can call now. No matter where you are watching us from, if you have access to a phone, you can call now, because there will be advisors. Yeah, actually, they are already here, ready to take your call. 0207-686-6300 is the number to call now, because there's one thing about getting help. The sooner, the better. The longer we take, the more difficult it gets. But even if it's difficult for you now, you can still get help. Tonight, we have Lisa with us. Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening.
So usually, for some people, it's really hard for them to admit they need help. I would say in general, probably more difficult even for men, because we have to transmit this image where we are leaders, we are natural born leaders, we are strong. But that doesn't mean that we are so self-sufficient that we never need help. Maybe it's because it could at first sight transmit the idea that I'm weak, that I don't have all the answers. But actually, when someone admits their weaknesses and they say, well, in this aspect, in that aspect, I need a helping hand. I don't know how to handle this situation. That's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. Your opinion on tonight's topic?
Well, everyone needs help at some point in their lives, and be it male or female, one of the biggest misconceptions is that successful people don't actually ask for help. However, successful people always needed help along the way, and they knew the key to success was knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. And they had to ask for help and guidance when they needed it. Asking for help allows you to accumulate wisdom that would otherwise take you years of trial and error to figure out. But what are the reasons why people don't ask for help? You may not want to be judged, and you might, as you referred to, perceived as weak. You may not want to be rejected, or you are scared of hearing no at an answer and want to avoid painful feelings associated with it. Or you don't want to bother anyone, or you should feel that you are capable of doing it alone. However, as strong and independent individuals, we think we should be able to do all these things alone and find the answers ourselves. You may feel that you are unworthy of help, but behind all these reasons mentioned, you might fear that you are actually not good enough. And you know, if you do ask for help, you are kind of putting yourself vulnerable, and you're putting yourself out on the line. So there is that deep rooted unworthiness behind, you know, this kind of wall of not asking for help. But you have to fully believe in yourself and what you are actually doing. The vast majority of people do everything to avoid discomfort and pain. So when you ask for help, you will encounter rejection at one point or another. The only reason you fear of being judged badly is because you judge yourself and others for not asking for help. So I think it's, you know, letting go of that fear of being judged and just admitting to yourself, I need help right now, because every human being at some point needs help. We're not going to progress if we don't learn from others. We're not going to know everything ourselves. And being, you know, just not afraid to fail. Fail better.
Yeah, and you know, maybe the viewer listening to us now may think, yeah, but when I try to get help, I ended up opening up to someone who used what I said against me. It turned out to be bad. Sometimes we ask help, which is the right thing to do, but to the wrong person. That's a mistake. We make mistakes. You know, at least if we're trying to get help, it's okay to make that mistake. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be like this all the time. We have to find the right person. We have to find the right kind of source. Of course, we don't open up about our problems to just anyone, but it has to be someone whom you trust, someone who has some knowledge, who has, it can be a friend, but a friend or someone you trust that is strong in that particular aspect, be it in finances or health or relationships, right? And try to learn from that person the secrets, the key things that make them strong and successful in that aspect.
Yes, and there was a recent survey done in the UK where people admitted that 70% of them would actually be willing to help other people when it came to directions around London. Mm-hmm. So that would, you know, and especially with directions, you know, a lot of people are kind of like, I have no time, but 70% of people said they would stop and help, which does insinuate that people are willing to help. 70% of people are willing to help you if you look for it. Yeah. Again, I think it's about, as you said, looking for the right people and entrusting the right people. So that could be people you trust who are close to you.
Yeah, or, sorry, and sometimes the right person is not the first one that we speak to. Even when it has to do with a simple thing such as getting through with some customer service. Sometimes you speak to someone who don't really have the knowledge, right, or the experience to help us. And then we don't get the help. We can hang up and call again and try to speak to someone else. Sometimes it happens like this in an office, you know, even with a doctor, the first one didn't help you so well, but then you find one that really understood your problem and you know, asked you the right questions and everything. We see this. Finding the right person is not an easy thing, but very important for us who want to ask for help.
Exactly, and that's bringing it back to the fear of being rejected. The fear of being rejected if we do ask for help. But again, as I referred to earlier, it's about letting yourself be vulnerable and trusting people. And you know, not everyone is going to be trustworthy, but you have to, like, you're not going to know if you don't try. And there is always help out there if you look for it. There are always people who are willing to help.
That's absolutely right. And so you, viewer, that you're going through problems right now, you tried it by yourself, you're not making it. Listen, at some point you will have to overcome this fear. I know it's difficult. There were times in my life where it was hard for me to admit that I needed help. It's not easy, I know. I identify myself somehow with this kind of struggle because the thought was, if I ask for help, then I'm going to be judged, or this is going to happen, or I can lose someone's trust. I'm going to be seen as someone who is not, you know, as strong as I seem to be, But when I did ask for help, I overcame these barriers, you know, these imaginary scenarios in my mind, and I did open up to someone who could help me. The outcome was so amazing, felt so much better. And not only did I feel better, but I was able to improve. I got help. So why don't you try this right now? Once again, our advisors are here. And it's 100% confidential. You don't even have to say your name if you don't want to, but I ask you, what have you got to lose? Sometimes you're just one phone call away from a solution to your situations. Do you want to find answers? So you can call us now. Lisa, the contact details, please, before the break.
No problem. If you do want help, we are here for you. So it's 020-768-66300. That's 020-768-66300. You can also email us at help@findinganswers.tv. We're also available on social media, Instagram and Twitter if you want to speak to us via that way. If you just search for Finding Answers, we'd love to hear from you.
Very good. We're going to have a 2-minute break. You could use these 2 minutes to give us a call right now, should you want to, okay? We'll be back after this.
I used to suffer from really, really bad migraine headaches. I was very depressed. I didn't see much point in living, and I used to constantly go to see clairvoyants. In the end, I became addicted to the tarot card readings because I was always hoping that they would tell me something positive, but a lot of the time they kept telling me that somebody was going to die in my family, and you know, I never heard what I really wanted to hear, but I just kept going back with that hope that one day I will hear exactly what I want to hear when they open the cards. So things weren't getting any better. But one day someone invited me to come to the spiritual cleansing therapy sessions, and in the spiritual cleansing therapy sessions I began to learn what to do, you know, how to stop all the negativity that was surrounding my life, because I felt like there was a heavy cloud around me. And through the sessions it's like that cloud started to lift, the depression started to go, the migraine headaches stopped, I stopped crying every night, I stopped feeling suicidal. And things just changed around, and today I don't have any of those problems anymore. I'm happy, I'm not depressed, I don't have headaches, I don't need to go to see a clairvoyant now because I'm really happy with my life and I have so much hope for my future.
The UCKG Helpline Call Centre is open 24 hours a day, every day of the week, all year round. If you need help due to a serious problem you may be going through, if you feel that you have nowhere to turn to and desperately need someone to lend a listening ear, then we can help you. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have done, your religion or race, your call will be answered by someone who genuinely cares about you and has your best interests at heart. We also arrange home visits for the housebound and hospital visits for anyone in great need of kindly human contact. Whether it is simply information you want or desperately need someone to talk to, we're here for you on 0207 686 6000.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. The Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers, where we're talking about help at hand. But at what point does a person have to reach out and ask for help? We sent Christy out to the streets of London to find out.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and family as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi everyone, it's Christy here on Finding Answers, and tonight's topic is help at hand. In life, there will be many moments when we'll need the help of people around us. For example, our family, friends, and genuine people in our society. However, at what point do people really feel the need to ask for help? Well, let's see what the public have to say. At what point do you think people actually ask for help?
I think it can vary depending on someone's personality. So I think some people are very quick and able to ask people for help, and others have to reach sort of rock bottom before they're able to reach out. Because of pride or cultural things that make them feel like they have to look after themselves before they ask for help from others. Yeah.
I guess when you kind of exhaust all your support networks and your options. So usually I think people, if they need help, go to people that are close to them. But I mean, asking for help like externally, I think it's when you kind of feel like there's nothing else that you can do and you exhaust everyone like close to you.
Well, I think there's certain people who will never ask for help, and that's, you know, really, really sad. But then there are, you know, I think when it gets to a stage where you can't feed yourself or the other people that are dependent on you, I think that's when people ask for help. Or should ask for help, definitely. Because I think everyone deserves food, everyone deserves shelter. Definitely, it's human right.
It's definitely hard though, I think, when there's no one to ask for help. I think that needs to be offered more.
Obviously it's very different for different people. Some people find it easier to confide in others. If you're asking for help about a particular problem, like relationships or finance or something like that, it's sometimes easier. Other people, they have to get, they will find themselves in a very low place before they even think about asking for help. Maybe because they're embarrassed about the situation that they're in. And a lot of the time, some people might not have people around them to ask for help.
Thank you, Christy. Very interesting opinions. And this is what we do on a daily basis. We help people. Every day we talk to people. And you know what we find out? That oftentimes, if they had gotten help, or at least sought for help, at the beginning of the problem, they would have avoided so much pain and frustration and a lot of time and money wasted. So when it comes to getting help, once again, the sooner the better. Overcome this fear. Some problems are not just like a slight headache or a common cold where you just wait it out and they go away. Maybe you're going through a situation where only if you take extreme action, you can find help. So if that's what you want, if that's what you need, once again, you can speak to us. The phone number will appear here. You can write us an email. By the way, you can watch previous episodes of Finding Answers. If you're finding some inspiration in the messages, the testimonies, on YouTube, find our YouTube channel, which is just Finding Answers, and you can get the previous episodes there. Also, you can like our Facebook page, find us on Facebook. There's constant updates. Follow us on Instagram, so we have social media. There's different ways that you can connect to Finding Answers, okay? Now, I will speak to our live guest. Her name is Precious, and she's gonna share with us what problems she had and how able she was to overcome after she sought for help.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So, Precious, good evening and welcome to Finding Answers.
Good evening.
Okay? Tell us about your problem. What was the problem that led you to seek help in faith?
Well, the problem was when I was very young, around 11 or even 10, I was very insecure about myself, about my looks, about how other people saw me. That led me to seek attention. So I would seek attention from guys, from friends. I always had to be the one at the front. Mm-hmm. So when I would seek attention from guys, I would just go around with many different guys, like meet up with guys or be talking to a guy. I just felt the need to speak to them because that's the only way I would feel useful. That's the only way I would feel wanted when I had their attention. I was, with this, I was a very angry person. Although it looks like I was very confident, I just put on a mask because it was like I didn't want people to see me as the vulnerable one or the person who had suicidal thoughts, which I had a lot. I didn't want anyone to see that, so I would always be confident. I would always show that I'm okay, but I was never okay. So this just led me into a bad track in my teenage years. And
so, you know, one pattern that we find here, usually a lot of the guests we receive in Finding Answers are young.
Yes.
Like I see you're a young lady, but despite of the young age, already dealing with very serious things.
Yes.
Right? It's even a shout out to parents, grandparents, because the young generation today, living in a world, a society very different from 20, 30, 40 years ago, where there's more access to information, which is a good thing, but on the other side, it's also a negative thing. More access to drugs, more access to pornography, I mean, all kinds of negative things too. And we have to have this understanding, because despite of the young age, you are already dealing with this, even suicidal.
Yes.
But these insecurities that led you to be an attention-seeking person, what was it? Was it because of something that someone told you, or it was just your own thoughts about yourself? What spurred these thoughts of insecurities and not dissatisfaction with your looks and your appearance?
Well, what spurred it was when I got into secondary school, I had a group of friends, and there were always specific friends that would get more attention than me. So then I would think, okay, what's wrong with me? Why isn't anyone approaching me? Why is not like no one talking to me? So that's what
led you to think that there was something wrong about you. Evidently there isn't. We can see here, right?
Yes.
But these thoughts were really hurting you to the point you started to do that.
Yes.
So you would go out with different boys. What would you do? Drinking also?
Well, because I was a people pleaser, so when I'd go out, I'll go partying till very late. I would drink, I would smoke, all of those things just to please those around me, to fit in with the setting. And all of those things, now that I look back, they weren't really me. They were just ways to fit in, just ways to show people that, oh, I'm cool, or I'm, I could fit in as well, things like that.
So you were looking for approval, the approval of others.
Yes.
You were looking for happiness. Did you find happiness becoming this other person?
No, I didn't, because it was only like happiness for a short time. It would only be in the moment, but afterwards I'll feel, disgusting, or I'll just feel unhappy again. It will just be like the moments where I'm out with the friends or out with the guys or just making noise somewhere. I would feel the adrenaline in that moment, but afterwards it was just like nothingness. It was back to the same old suicidal thoughts, back to the same old mindset. So no happiness ever came out from that. So yeah.
And concerning your family, did you grow up with the family? Yes. What would they think when they would see you at such a young age living this kind of lifestyle?
The thing is, I was, like I say, I was like a double agent. I was one thing in my house and another thing outside. So I live with my mum and my sister only. So they never really saw that side of me. It was within my family, everyone always thought I was a quiet one. They knew I would speak, but it would just be like, oh, she's a good girl, she doesn't get into trouble. But they never knew like the other side of me. They never knew how angry I was, the fights that I would get into, because I was a very good liar. I could cover up anything. So
you were very good at pretending and hiding.
Very good.
But they didn't get suspicious seeing that you would come home late?
No, it was just, oh yeah, I'm going out with friends. It's every time I would lie about where I'm going, my mum always just said, okay, as long as you come home with someone, as long as someone drops you, as long as you're safe. So it will always be like I'm going to a friend's house. If I'm going to a party, say I live in North London, I'd go to a party, let's say, in Essex, the Essex area, and I'll just say, okay, I'm going to a friend's house, and then so they will never know. It was always just, I would plan everything out. I was very strategic, so nothing was.
And these suicidal thoughts, were you just having these thoughts, or did you actually would you take any action already going towards that way, or?
The thing is, I would never have the guts to. It was always just the thoughts. There was even a point where I would, well, it sounds really silly, but I would like try and write fake suicide notes. Just, you know, say I'm just going to do it, but I never had the guts to. It was just all inside of me, and I know that if it continued, I would have just reached that point where I would just explode. So, yeah.
Did you try to get help during those days?
Well, during those days, not really. I was very proud, so the pride was there. So I would never want to seek help. I would never like to show people my vulnerability. Like I said before, I never liked to show people that I was weak, because I saw asking for help as a weakness. I saw it as, you know, if I ask for help, people would be like, okay, what's wrong with this girl? Isn't she the one that does this, this and that? So I would never ask for help.
You thought that people would see you as a weak person if you asked for help, right? Now, we're going to go to a stop here. By the time we come back, then we're going to find out how you overcame. You're speaking about pride, you're speaking about insecurity, you're speaking about suicidal thoughts, you're speaking about being promiscuous, at the same time very unhappy. Pleasing everyone except yourself, right? And that's true, because the only person we can be happy with is if we find our true self. It's okay to improve, it's okay to want to become stronger, right? But never to the sense of degrading your self-value and you know, because if you don't love yourself, people will never love you. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
And this is a very important thing to discover. But how do you conquer this value of self-worth? How can you restore, you know, the love you have for yourself? God can help you. Evidently, with His help, you know, you can make it because He loves you. That's the truth. And maybe you say, what if He loves me? Why am I living like this? Well, because maybe you're not getting close to Him enough to find out. If you do, you will find out. You will discover. And not only discover, but you will be able to receive this love and benefit from it. But we're going to talk more about this after the break, where Precious is going to share with us how she overcame all these complicated issues despite her young age.
My Channel TV, featuring a kaleidoscopic daily dose of programming. Stay with us every day and explore politics, economics, science, technology, lifestyle, culture, sports, and much more. We're here to amuse you, to keep you updated, and to keep you company. We're My Channel, your channel on Sky 203.
The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier? This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Monday, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesday, prayers for healing. Wednesday, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursday, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturday, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sunday. Reconnect with God. The main meeting for your spiritual strength.
Welcome back to Finding Answers, and tonight we're speaking about help at hand and that you can get help. If you need help now, call the number that appears on your screen, or you can also alternatively send us an email, connect with us, get help, because you will get results. As now Precious is about to share with us how she got help and how she changed her life around. So how did the change process starts concerning your life and the difficult issues you were dealing with?
Well, first of all, because I had to let my pride go, because I had to acknowledge I needed help. I needed to acknowledge that if I didn't ask or seek for help, I wouldn't move anywhere. My life wouldn't change. So I went to like a Christian center, and the advisors there, they were speaking to me about how I can move forward, how I can, let go of everything, the insecurities. And I just, through faith, I just learned how to see myself how God sees me. Like, I realized that God doesn't see me as an insecure person, or a girl who goes around with guys, or a girl who drinks or pleases people. He sees me as someone who is confident, who is smart, who is bright. So I needed to change my mindset into that, thinking that I could really move forward and just be a better person. So that's how I changed.
Very interesting. You spoke about, in this short statement, very powerful topics. You spoke about laying down your pride. Then you spoke about acknowledging that you did need the help. You couldn't do this on your own, right? You went to a place to learn how to get closer to God. So you included God and faith, right? And as you did, you learned by what you were taught that God didn't see you the way that you saw yourself, right? It's very powerful, Precious, because there's people that even think that because they have done so many, let's say, in a simple way, bad things in the eyes of God, that they cannot count on His help, which is just quite the contrary, because the thing is, God, He loves to take on a challenge.
Yes.
So if you think that your case is extremely hard, well, God is excited about helping you, because the great, what we could say, glory to Him is to get someone who's really down, who's suicidal like you are, who's really lost, and then through His guidance, empowerment, the work of His Spirit, forgiveness, little by little, of course, it's not overnight. It's not a magic trick, but, step by step, the end result of the process is a life that's changed. So how glorious this is to Him. It shows, He's not a judgmental God. He's not a legalistic God. There's no partiality with Him. That's what the Bible says. So it doesn't matter what your situation is. Come to Him. Actually, Jesus said that. Jesus said, come as you are. He didn't say, oh, you get your act together because I am holy and you have to fulfill this and this and this requirement before you even think about coming to me. No, He's not this kind of God. If anyone presented Him to you in this way, I'm sorry. I don't know which God they were presenting to you, but not the one of the Bible. The one of the Bible, Jesus says, come as you are. There's no special requirements, a certain way you have to dress, a certain way you have to speak. Come as you are, be sincere. What God wants is honesty, sincerity. That's what you did, right? Yes. And how long, Precious, did it take for you to, from the moment you started learning about this faith to the point that you could really see, like, wow, it's really changing. This is really working for me. To get you excited to continue, it took about how long?
From the beginning to the end, or?
Yeah, from the beginning to the point that you started to really see changes, that changes were happening?
To see changes actually happening, I could say it took around like a month, but it took longer, like a year, to see like the full effect, because there were times where I felt like, oh, there's no point, but then I realized what my motive is, where I want to go to, so I kind of prolonged the process, but yeah, like a year.
In other words, it wasn't easy, right? It's
No.
important to mention that, because no one is saying here that changing your life is easy, but it's doable, right? It's doable. We struggle with this because for your life to change, what has to change is your mindset. Do you agree? And we are accustomed to think in a certain way, or entertaining certain thoughts, believing certain things for so long that it's not just like, you know, drop and go. Let go of this thought, like drop it on the floor and move on. It's not that simple, but with discipline, with guidance, with persistence, we can learn to do that.
Yeah.
You have learned,
Yes.
right? To put your past behind you, to let go of those negative thoughts that you had about your image. Did you improve your self-image?
Yes, because how my appearance was, how I portrayed myself outside. It was, you know, like going around with guys, you know, I had the piercings, everything like that. So I just had to change that. If I wanted to change inside, my outside should show what's inside as well. So I changed the way I dressed, I changed the way I presented myself to others as well. So
in other words, you wanted to change, not because you were trying to just be different on the outside, but that reflected the fact you wanted to show that you were not that same person, right? Not to be seen even by others as you know, they were seeing before, that you would put your life on a different route. Is that right?
Yes.
So now, tell us about you. Do you still struggle with these insecurities?
Oh, no. I don't. Not at all. Because now, you know, there's still a lot of things that I want to achieve, but now it's just like I'm much happier. You know, I feel like just a weight has gotten off my shoulders, because that was a really heavy thing to carry. It was constant, it was every day, it was just looking at myself and like, oh, what's going on? But now I'm just much happier, and those insecurities, they're like minor problems. Like, no, they're not there.
Still struggling with suicidal thoughts?
Oh, no.
You don't feel suicidal at all?
I have no reason to be suicidal.
There's no reason.
There's no reason to be. So.
Very good. Today you can talk about it and even laugh.
Yes.
Right? Which is the evidence that you really put it behind you, right? No more pretending?
No more pretending.
Living a truthful life.
A truthful life.
Happy with who you are.
I'm happy with who I am.
What are you doing today? Studying, working?
I'm studying and I'm working. I hope to go to uni this September to study midwifery. So, yes.
Very good. So finding God was really a blessing to you.
Yes, it was.
Helped you find a new life.
It really did.
Really good. You once again, we appreciate you coming. Okay,
No problem.
Congratulations on this positive change. I am sure that many viewers are being inspired right now by your true story.
Yes.
Okay, and you who are watching, as you see, it is possible. It requires effort. It requires commitment, perseverance, but it is possible. You can change. Once again, connect with us at any time you want during the show. Talk to one of our advisors. Let us help you, because help is at hand. We're going to come back after the break with Pastor Douglas Lima, who will also share with us a word of faith and a prayer on your behalf. You can even prepare a glass with water, should you want to, because we are going to bless it during the prayer. So by faith, we can drink and be energized by God's power. After the break.
Skips
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort and homework from you.
Uplifting.
Exciting.
Diverse.
Informative.
Courageous.
Bold.
Passionate.
Powerful.
Welcome back to the last segment of Finding Answers, and tonight we also have with us Pastor Douglas Lima. Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening, Edward. How are you?
Good, thank you. You?
I'm fine, thank you.
So on tonight's topic, we're talking about help at hand, and it's very important. We spoke about the barriers, the obstacles, the negativity in terms of the mentality of, if I seek for help, I can be judged. If I look for help, I'm going to look weak before others, but there's absolutely the opposite, right? Looking for help is a sign of strength, is a sign of balance, that we don't have all the answers to everything. And we can become a better individual because, for instance, if you help me in something that you're strong and I'm not that strong, it's like I have a little piece of you now as a part of me. So I became a stronger individual. If the viewer helps me with something that the viewer is strong and I'm not, so I have a little piece of this viewer also inside of me. So in the end, it's like we become like, in a certain way, like a Superman, super individual, where we learn strengths and skills from different people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, first of all, Edward and dear viewer, I want you to know that God's help is always at hand. He's always waiting to help. Scripture says, seek the Lord whilst He's near. Seek the Lord refers to seeking help. But of course, God, even though He's supreme and powerful and the maker of all things, He will not impose, He will not force help. He helps the helpless. He helps those who acknowledge they need help. We can see in scriptures that all people who came and received a miracle from Jesus or God, they all came with a humble spirit, asking for help, acknowledging their weaknesses, acknowledging their fragility, acknowledging their humanity. And the truth of the matter is, dear viewer, that as humans, we all have our limitations, and we all can reach to our breaking point. And when we reach to our breaking point, there is nothing else we can do. We can't go any further. Human beings are prone to seek help when they hit rock bottom. Do not wait to hit rock bottom. Perhaps you are watching now and you are nearly there, or perhaps you already hit rock bottom. We show in this studio here, from Monday to Friday, different stories of people who overcame financial problems, emotional problems, spiritual problems, family problems. And the same can happen to you. All you need to do is to seek help. God will not come and help you unless you seek help. And we start seeking help when we start using our faith. And hence why In a few minutes, we are going to be praying for you. And if you want to take part in this prayer, you can prepare a glass of water. And when you pray together with I and Edward, that will be like a signal flare. You will be sending a sign of faith to God, and He will answer. Of course, your life will not change overnight. God doesn't do any magic, but He will give you the wisdom, He will give you the relief, and He will show you what to do next. Edward.
Yes, you know, very interesting you said that, because God doesn't help people based on the level of their suffering. If that alone was enough, we wouldn't have anyone suffering, right? If automatically the fact that I'm suffering, the fact that I'm desperate would automatically bring help from heaven, so we wouldn't have people with serious problems. But when I am in this situation, as you said, if I feel that I have hit rock bottom, if I'm desperate, I don't know what else to do, and I take the action to look for help, God will help me. It's like someone who has an emergency. They have to call 999. I'm dying. I'm having a heart attack. And I'm going to die. But I don't call 999. I don't shout for help. I'm going to die. No one is going to come to my rescue just because I'm having a heart attack. I have to get the phone. I have to yell for help. I have to dial the emergency line, right? So in the same way, when we come to God, when we appeal to Him, be it in prayer or going to a place where we learn how to use faith, we are sending, as you said, this signal flare to God. We are dialing this direct line to heaven, this 999 that connects us to heaven, and then we find help from Him, guaranteed.
Yes, we've got cases of people who are watching finances, and they were watching Edward, I, or the other presenter that was here, and one word that was outspoken touched the heart of that viewer. You know, they called, they sent an email, and you know, this viewer now, his life is absolutely great. Not only him, but his daughter is also, you see, seeking help. So again, God's help is at hand, but we need to seek. Jesus made it clear when He said, "Come to me, and I will, I'll give you rest." We need to come, and this approach is made by faith. Since you can't see, you can't touch, but you can have faith on God.
That's right. And He also said He didn't come for those who are healthy, right? In other words, for those who think everything is fine. Well, fine. But He came to those who are sick, for those who are desperate, for those who are suffering, for those who are lost. And that being your case, then, Jesus came. The whole purpose of Him coming down from heaven to earth was to help you. Do you want to get this help? He's stretching out His hands to you through finding answers tonight. Will you take this help? Will you say yes? So if yes is the answer, join us now for prayer, because we are going to call out to God on your behalf. It is the moment of prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer concerning your family and loved ones, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
God and Father, we understand that just acknowledging we need help is not enough. That is the first step. But if we really want to be helped, it gets more than that. Acknowledgement is the first step. A lot of people actually acknowledge they need help, but they don't get any help because they don't seek help. So the first step is to acknowledge. And then the second is to seek, to search, to go to the person that can actually help us properly. And this is you, God. We are coming to you now through our faith, which is this invisible power that has been granted to all those whose hearts are humble to seek for help. And I know right now there are people who are watching us, and these people are sincere. They acknowledge their suffering. They acknowledge that all their wealth, power, fame, physical build could not help them at the most tragic moments of their lives. Oh God, so now they come to you. They use faith as perhaps the last resource. They are knocking at your door. And you said that if we knock, the door will open. If we seek, we will find. If we search, we will find answers. So give this individual an answer, Father. Strengthen their body, their mind, their soul. Sanctify and bless this cup of water. Use it like a spiritual medicine that will treat, that will heal the inner pain that is constantly annoying this individual. When they drink from this water, may they receive life, strength, relief, and the sign that you've heard this person's prayer will be the peace, the great measure of peace they will feel right after this short prayer. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and if you, dear viewer, if you believe it, you may say amen, and you may drink now some of the water.
This is it. This is the message tonight. Help is at hand. Even if you don't see any human help around right now, the help of God is always there. All you have to do is to reach out. So we thank you for watching. Believe this prayer has touched you, has also touched God, and that His hands are now stretched out to you. I want to thank Pastor Douglas, for being here tonight.
Pleasure is mine, yes.
Precious was our guest, Lisa, and you viewer for remaining with us, We are going to start this weekend, next week on Monday, with a new episode of Finding Answers, a very interesting topic, by the way, to bless your life. Have a great weekend. God bless you. Good night.